What's up, people? It's Alexander, obviously. It is a fine Sunday morning in California. I'm on my way to a class, but in the meantime, let's talk. So I was writing the article last night and this morning about how to write and make money, how to make money from writing. It's still not done. The email's still not done. So for those of you guys who were asking, where's the email? I haven't sent it yet, so don't ask about it. It will be done when it's done. It will be done today. That said, I realized as I was writing it, and I was essentially sharing the process of becoming a writer and the process of how I arrived in a position where I make money from my writing. I realized that I've known a lot of successful writers. I've known a lot of people who write as a living or as part of their living. I know people that have changed their lives through writing. And as I thought about those people and those relationships, and knowing them, I also realized those people that are writers that, it changed their life, they're not that good. They're not that good at writing. They're not. But, the reason why I call the Success Movement, they started writing so many years ago, and they did something that is timeless and profound and obvious. They kept doing it. I know a lot of writers in the fitness industry. I know a lot of writers, period, where they had the ability to write, and they wrote well. They're not amazing. They're not superlative. They're not anyone that is writing the biblical level work of such prose that it would stagger and astound you. But they can write well enough that it's easy to read. They can teach you something, and no one else is writing, so why not them? Success in any certain way comes to those who simply just do. It was interesting to think about, since writing is one of those subjects that oftentimes gets romanticized and idolized. And how do you make? I've been asked that question: how do you make money? I write. I have an email list. I write. How do people make money writing? They write. People read what they write. How do they do that? You start writing and you simply keep doing it. There's no secret to it. There's no fucking hack. Either you write every day or you don't. The people that write every day and publish every day and create work every single day, you get better just by the sheer sake of that you are practicing all the time. Someone asked that last night. I was just cracking up the question, how do you get better at speaking and writing? You speak and write. That's it. Well, how? Fucking do them. Do you really need to be told that? Take out a piece of paper and a pen and start writing shit down. That should be self-evident. The people that make a career out of it, the people I know that made careers out of writing, they wrote an article, in most cases, 10, 15 years ago. They sent in the article to a magazine, back when magazines were still a thing to send articles to. It got published, or it got accepted, and oh, wow, I guess I'm a published writer now. Maybe I'll do this again. Or they started a blog with an article, and they shared it on some social media channel somewhere, doesn't matter what, somewhere where people would read it, and people read it, and maybe I can do this again. Okay, so they kept doing it. You can also run out of material if you write too. You never run out of material if you write. You never run out of material. That's a bullshit fucking modern excuse. The myth of the starving artist that is so struck by their creativity and you can't write anything and you've run out of stuff to write about. There is no such thing as running out of stuff to write about. There is nothing. There is nothing. There's absolutely no way. People that run out of things to write about, it's because they have reached the limits of their personality and they've become boring to themselves. Or they're not creative enough, or they don't simply think big enough. A lot of people get stuck in this egotistical trap where they only write about one thing, they only can talk about one thing, they only can express themselves one way. And yes, if you are that limited in your being, then sure, you will run out of things to write about. But if you are truly a master of craft with writing, there is never a limitation. People like Asimov and Goethe, they didn't run out of things to say. They had a breadth of subjects they could speak on at any given time. They could write about all of them. The idea of the limited writer that can only write about a single subject and has writer's block, that's a 20th century romantic idolization that I don't buy it at all. I don't. I know people suffer from writer's block. I know writers suffer from it. I've heard it before many times, and I have no doubt that they do in some sense have a mental blockade, but that's their own fucking fault. That's not because they ran out of content in the world. The whole world is your content. Everything is your content. Your entire life's experience is your content. The only way that you slow down writing, the only way that you stop with that is if you just don't do anything, if you don't write at all. the success anyone has in writing is much like the success in any other field, which is the meta point to this. You just keep doing it. You keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it. If you accrue enough experience for a long period of time, you tend to become proficient at things. That's been one of the revelations of the course of my adulthood. I've met lots of people in lots of fields that are quite accomplished. They're not amazing necessarily at what it is that they do, but they are one of the few that are doing it. So by the sake of, time compounded by, practice, okay, they're making a pretty good living at it. It is doing something for them. And that is what it takes. If you devote enough time to something, it's really, really hard not to get better at it. Very hard, actually. I think it's probably arguably impossible to. So, operative point to all this, if you want to be successful at something, keep moving at it. And yes, it is that simple. And do not anyone reply that that's easy to say, but not easy to do. No shit. Everything is easier said than done. You still have to do it. Move towards it? Yes, move towards it. Always be moving towards something. Thoughts, people? Thoughts, questions? I just felt like clarifying that for myself. I'm going to throw that also into the email/article, which at this point is probably going to be like 5,000 words again. So, I have been writing thoughts and ideas for over a year. Am I in a writing trajectory? I have no idea. No, that's a question for yourself. If you're writing just for personal enjoyment, by all means do so. Writing is an excellent way to, train your intelligence, as I said yesterday, because it requires clarification of thinking. You are taking your thoughts and you are distilling them, and you are purifying them, and you are defining, what your perceptions are, and what it is that you are, formulating at a given time. So if you're using writing as that kind of practice, awesome, great. As in regards to, hopefully you're doing something, trajectory-wise, it's good. I have no idea. Yeah, that's for you to tell me. I've been going out and journaling my certainty, my actions has improved so much. Yeah, there you go. You can't lie to yourself when you write. You can't. If I ask you, sit down, tell me about, what your greatest weakness and fears are. What do you need to improve on? Where are you going with your life? These sort of, these broad questions. Obviously, you can't lie. There's no way you can lie to yourself. You could try to. You can write words down that aren't true, but they're not true. Writing has a way of revealing the truth in that way. That's why it's so powerful. Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, no, maybe so. Do you use people as bouncing boards? No, I really don't. I know some people, they are very communicative, or they bounce ideas off other people. I honestly do not. Twitter is my stream of conscience feed for whatever I'm thinking at any time. I share stuff on there. Sometimes I get ideas because people respond to certain things, but I don't directly ask people questions really at all. I don't. I'm not a question asker that way. I had a thread about that some time back where, I made the point that, in regards to the way I learn, I don't ask questions. I watch and I observe, and I have very good observational powers. I have an understanding that you cannot ask second and third order questions if you do not have first order foundational knowledge of something. Most people ask questions out of order. They don't have foundational knowledge, and they're asking a second order effective question as to what they should do or what this is or something about it. I don't operate that way. I always assume for any subject that I don't, that I'm unfamiliar with it. I operate from a basis that I have total incompetence and total ignorance of whatever it is in question. Henceforth, if someone is talking or speaking or writing something that is an expert in some sensibility, I will read it, I will accept it, and then I will look for my own clarification as to things that I don't know, whether it be terminology, phrases, concepts, ideas. Generally speaking, with most subjects, I can always link something to something else, so I can have some contextual framework as to understanding it. But no, I don't ask questions. I don't share people, hey, I'm having this idea, what do you think? Do not. I stay tapped into social media, obviously, and all the things that I stay tapped into social media because it gives me a pulse on, what the world is feeling at a given time. I have so many tens of thousands of data points to work with, and then I can synthesize from that. I find talking out loud helps clarify thoughts. Talking out loud, yeah, if it helps. I mean, whatever helps you helps. I talk out loud all the time. Did you trim your beard yourself? Yes. Oh yeah, I shaved a goatee this morning. Yeah, that was me. Any other questions, people? People asking a lot of questions. People ask a lot of questions. I've put myself in a position where people ask a lot of questions, so it doesn't bother me. I've been a personal trainer for 9 years. I am very accustomed to answering questions. If you're going to be good at teaching, you have to be able to answer questions. Teaching is part of what teaching is. So I would find it curious if someone wanted to be in a position where they are, trying to exert positive influence and teach people something, but they don't want to answer any questions about what it is that they are teaching. As such, so the questions, the questions don't bother me. I expect questions. I've constructed my public persona where it is open for questions. That is entirely on purpose. It's not accidental. Plus with questions, the way people ask questions tells you how they think. The way you phrase your questions and what you ask, that tells me of what your state of mind is and what your paradigms are. If you can understand that, then you will be good at teaching, because people's questions reflect their ability to learn and to what their reality is. If you don't understand that, then teaching can be frustrating because you're teaching from a standpoint of how you perceive and not how the other person perceives. A master teacher has the understanding that he's dealing with two frames of reality, his own and that of his student, and you need to bring those to a place where they both meet. What age will you consider kids? I'll consider kids when I have the financial stability and success that I want to have, along with a woman who would be suitable to have children with. What the age that is, I don't know. Could be within the next 3 years, could be the next 5, could be the next 8, 10. I'm a man. I'm not, obviously I'm not going infertile at any point, so I'm not too concerned. Do you like follow football, soccer? No. I follow no sports. Waste of time. Absolute waste of time. have nothing against people that follow sports, but sports are they're a time sink. I understand why people follow them. Obviously, we are tribal beings, and we like to see people win. And sports are a metaphor for the rise and fall and triumph and failure and the story of the underdog. But in regards to the productivity of living and creating something and being someone that is, I would say hyper successful, or wants to be, sports are a fucking waste of time. I'll watch sports when I own a fucking team that is worth $1 billion. Then I'll watch sports. The people that watch sports every day, every weekend, the men spending hours upon hours doing it, well, that tells you everything about yourself and where you are at and where you are not at in life. That's a hell of a lot of time spent being entertained. What's the movie Goodfellas? That scene where he goes into the he goes to meet the mafioso, the little kid. He's asking him about the Yankees. Made him Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle cried because they lost. And what's the guy say? Mickey Mantle's gonna fuck about you. Mickey Mantle makes $100,000 a year. How much does your father make? And that's true. I'm sure athletes appreciate their fans, but those athletes, the whole sports, they don't give a fuck about you. Smart and rich men get successful off sports. Not rich, not smart men. They watch sports. That is my opinion of sports. So if you want to enjoy it, enjoy it. Even say, sometimes myself, I will occasionally watch a UFC highlight. But no, it's not something I watch at all. Yeah, that was pretty fucking harsh, wasn't it? Yeah. Like I always say, though, if it works for you, by all means, go ahead. You do you, baby boo. What was your last read? I was reading the book last night. R.J. Sproul's Everyone's a Theologian. Have you responded to editor applicants? I've responded to some of them. I believe I did find a gentleman, a person, 2 people. But that was a lot of fucking responses to go through. I had literally, I think, something upwards of like 60 plus people contact me. So I'll get to them today. That was a lot of people. Favorite movie? What's a movie I've watched more than once? Mask of Zorro, perhaps? I don't have a personal favorite film. It depends on what I'm looking for in my mood. That is a movie I can watch over and over again, though, so we'll go with that. Chicken or egg first? Chickens have been bred for thousands and thousands of years, so I'm not really sure you could say one came before the other. In regards to the development of the embryonic development of species, I guess you could say the egg preceded something that was somewhat akin to a chicken. But honestly, I've always hated that fucking question. Because it's like a pseudo-smart question. What came first, the chicken or the egg? And it's supposed to tell you something about how the person thinks. Chickens evolved from dinosaurs? Yeah, obviously. Good job. We took Biology 101 in 4th grade. Have I seen Raging Bull? Yes. It's a good film. The computer programmer came first. Well, mathematics came first, and then, following that, people started thinking about thinking, and then we have mathematics, which was the study of reality, and then out of that, we had the idea that numbers can predict something, and then, what is a computer but something that is a prediction engine, essentially. A pale shadow of thinking. Although deep learning networks are getting more sophisticated, but even then, they're simply just pattern recognition engines. Lots of patterns. Lots and lots and lots of patterns. All right, guys. Good talk. Talk to y'all again. Adios.